What's up, YouTube? This is a video on how society creates drug addicts out of kind young men. We are growing up in a world where devoid of any real human connection, and boys and men will try to find a solution to the hole they feel inside. I know I thought I did. For me, it started with being an easy target for bullying. Being a small dude like I am, it was easy, and I had a hard time coping with being a fucking joke to most people, students, staff, parents. It felt like everyone hated me. Some friends I had at the time introduced me to weed, and I thought it was my savior. I think of how naive it was to find salvation in a literal drug that was filling this hole inside me. And for a while, it felt like it was working. I was making better grades. I was happier. Even had a nice relationship with a girl I really loved at the time. But that's how it gets you. You start to smoke more and more, and before you know it, your life is falling apart, and the thing that was holding you together, all those feelings, stops working. So what do? Well, more drugs, duh. So alcohol, Xanax, cocaine, opioids, whatever I get my hands on, so that I wouldn't have to face reality. The reality of being a passive observer in your own life, with no deep connections, no real meaning, just floating in space. The people who actually run this fucking world want you weak, addicted, and sick. A man who is healthy in his body, mind, and soul is a threat to this current world, especially one who thinks for himself. Society has no place for you. You are to do what you're told, shut up, consume, feed the machine. Oh, you want to do that? Oh, you're fucking nuts. Well, I existed in this drugged up state for about 10 years, often combining crazy combos of drugs, pretty much just to try to kill myself at that point. One time I was literally having a cocaine heart attack, and instead of calling the ambulance or anything, I just sort of wrote it out, held my mother's hand like a scared little bitch as she looked at me terrified, and I am sorry for that, Mom. I miss you tremendously. Well, yeah. As you can imagine, any relationships I had with women during this time were a disaster. Most of them would just be scared away before I could even really get to know them. But if they hooked up with me, I would eventually get them to hate me because I was a lying drug addict. And that's another thing. Relations between men and women nowadays are worse than I could ever remember. Society encourages women to just use men for their own amusement at this point. The interactions I've had with women over the past 5 years have been so fucked up and full of misery that I'm surprised I'm not using drugs this very second to escape from everything that's happened. All I know is that the powers that be want it this way. A population where men and women have each other's backs is not easy to control, but we're not a society that has each other's backs. Men and women hate each other. We don't have anything to fight for. So of course men are turning to drugs in mass. I bet most of them just want a hug and to hear, I see you. But to actually be seen. Don't let the society that called you a fucking loser win. Fight back. Become strong in your body, mind, your soul. Be the man your loved ones can count on. That is meaning. That is purpose. Think to yourself, are people better off for knowing me or worse? If the answer is no, you have a lot of work to do on yourself. Get fit. Learn things that interest you. Find a skill that makes sense. Make some money with it. There's no one coming to save you. And this world is cruel. But with all that being said, you can still find some pretty cool ass people in this world. I'm 29 and I'm barely starting to find the purpose in my own life. I feel like I'm finally starting to get it. But you have to try. Please put the drugs down. Young men specifically. It will not serve you. You have meaning, you have purpose, but you have to try. For me, I got a story to tell, and I'm just getting started.